Well, hello everybody, my name is Mr. Torque, and I got one question and one question only. Ban list win? Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it is your host with all of the impressions of the most, Avery LR32 here, and destroy the ever-living boo-boo stain off of that ban list like and subscribe button as we climb even higher as I adjust my mic. The 1500 ladder, only 10 away, well, actually 15 from 1600. Math is apparently pretty hard for a Yu-Gi-Oh player, but I wanted to talk about the ban list. Where's the ban list? So this was my shower thought video for the day because we do all of our best thinking in the shower. But I wanted to talk about when we could be expecting a ban list, because a lot of people are thinking it's not going to be until May or June and not even April. But I really think that we're going to be getting it in April. And my reasoning for this is because of the fact that we are in a really solid format right now, and by the time that we hit April, we're going to be in a position where Alliance Insight's kind of around the corner, but then we'll also have Quarter Century Stampede giving us a reprint of Fwalos. If they want to hit anything, or rather put on the ban list things from Quarter Century Stampede, whether it's Fwalos, whether it's another reprint, whatever the case may be, not saying that they're going to hit Fwalos, even though I do think hand traps need to be hit in some way moving into this next format. Even if they kept everything the same moving into this next ban list and gave us one just to be like, hey, we're going to touch some things up here and there and then move into the Alliance Insight format, that would honestly be fine. There's really not a lot of things that they need to change overall with the format. Ever since the release of, I would say, Power of the Elements, we've had some very rough formats. We've had some good ones. We've also had some very toxic Tier 0 ones with Snake Eyes feeling like an endless Tier 0 format, and then we got Yubel, and then Tenpai, and then it was still Snake Eyes and Yubel. All that fun stuff. I would say really a lot of that began with like Power of the Elements era, even though that's like 2.5 years ago now at this point. But now we're in a format where, especially with the release of 7th Tachyon, giving pretty much every deck in the game some kind of decent searcher if you have the 1 to 2, maybe 3, depending on your deck, extra deck slots for search targets with 7th Tachyon to search cards. I mean, hell, even Stun can play it because you can play Giant Hand to search either the Earth Barrier statue or get you a fucking Fossil Dyna. With the release of that, a lot more decks get a lot more consistent. And really, I feel like if you deck build well enough, you could play something that's even kind of rogue-ish and do well at an event. I mean, my buddy was just messaging me this morning saying, hey, like, it's too bad I can't play Chronomaly in my, play 7th Tachyon in my Chronomaly deck because they have a number monster, but it's not 101 to 107. I'm like, bro, just play fucking Giant Hand. You've got level 4 Earths. Like, it meets the requirement. He's like, oh, true, I didn't think of it that way. And, like, he's kind of a more casual player, so, like, I wouldn't expect him to know every in and out of every single card, right? But it's the fact that even though he plays more casually than anything, because he's been taking a break from the game, he could still, if he deck builds well enough, he could compete, even if it's just on a local level. Rizal Chronomaly may be a thing. I don't know, because I'm not testing that shit. But that could actually be a thing that, whether it's a local or regional level, possibly even the regional level, because of how good this format is, you could compete and do well. If you build to beat Malice and Rizal and know like what the other rogue decks in the format can do, you're gonna be fine. Like, Blue Eyes is a very solid deck. It is the branded structure deck 2.0. I was very wrong about the Blue Eyes structure deck, and I am willing to admit that. I thought the reprints were great, and I think in my video about not buying it, I was kind of back and forth on whether or not to get it. But even a pure build, I played against a kid on EDO Pro today. He beat me game 1 with hitting a Bysteel on my X-Rizal when he should have just hit my Eclipse Twins, even though I'm playing 2. But besides the point, he beat me game 1 because I didn't open up that well. He was able to break my board, and then I whooped him game 2 and 3. But like, I had to work for it. And then I'm looking back at the replay of game 3 after the fact, and I'm seeing that in his hand he had Burst Stream of Destruction. I'm like, this scrub's out here playing Burst Stream of Destruction. I'm like, but he's playing the deck kind of well. Like, yeah, he's not making the best tech choices, but like, he was playing Bysteals. He didn't have Primite cards, but like, he was supplementing that with Bysteals. And like I said, Burst Stream of Destruction, which he did have a Blue Eyes out for a time. And if I didn't have a detonator with a material, he could have just Burst Stream of Destruction my entire field. Pause. And then like, I lose all my monsters, right? And then I'm just sitting with like, what was it? Like Rizal Cross, Imperm, and like an Ally Justice Cycle Reader in my hand. That's actually kind of a rough position to be in. Plus, he also drew in a Call by the Grave for turn. And so, if you deck build correctly, even a deck that's kind of bricky like Blue Eyes, you can see success. So that translates to every other deck in the game right now currently. I would say that there's decks that are going to have harder times with things like Rizal Detonator, whether it's Blue Eyes if you can't protect your True Light from being popped by the Detonator, whether it's Exodia because Detonator can pop your Millennium Monsters. Detonator is a very strong card that maybe should be hit in some way, but yet if they make the changes that need to be done, like hitting Bonfire to 1, eventually hitting 7th Tachyon and or 7th Ascension to 1, hitting these consistency things, putting X Rizal to 1, basically copying what the OCG did, hitting hand trap stuff that needs to be hit, whether it's the Mulch Armies, Ash, banning Shifter, I hope, finally, banning Chaos Angel, because Light and Dark Chaos Angel staring contests are never a fun thing. It's pretty toxic, especially if you don't have an out to Chaos Angel. Things that kind of hinder deck building. Like, even with my current Shark Rizal list that I'm taking to the regional next weekend, albeit Kissimmee, be sure to come up and say hi if you're going to be there. I kind of don't really have a good out to Chaos Angel. You know, when you're not playing Fiendsmith cards and have access to Disarray, Chaos Angel kind of becomes tough, and you have to basically make the concession of, I lose to a Chaos Angel. And that doesn't feel good, right? So I've had to tweak my build so that I don't lose as hard to a Chaos Angel that's Light and Dark specifically, to where, you know, I can at least compete, right? And that's where it comes back to the deck building. So if they make these few adjustments going into Alliance, Insight, Justice Hunters, and all that, the power creep may fix the format. Now, what they need to be careful with is that they have the OCG as a blueprint. Even though we're getting the Orcus stuff, I believe, out of Alliance Insight, and Blue Eyes, I'm sure, will still be good. You know, Malice and Rizal are getting new support, and you don't want those decks to still be tier 1 even after the balance, because then it's going to feel like another Eternal format all over again. No matter how healthy it is, if the same 2 decks are still the best decks, it's not going to be a fun time. So I'm really thinking that April, we're going to get a new list. I don't see why they would really wait much longer than that. I think that April is a perfect dropping point to get the list out, especially since we've had this list basically since January 1st of the year. So, I mean, like, that's a good, 3 to 4 months, January, February, March, April. That's 4 months. And I don't think they really want to go much longer than that, because that gets really long in the tooth. So I think 4 months max is what we can handle. You start hitting the 5 to 6 month mark, oh, that's really bad. Like, that's when you start saying, like, okay, is the game dying? Like, things aren't looking so good. And then you end up having to make, like, a really big list to kind of adjust things, and then you're kind of behind the 8 ball, because then it's like the power creep is overtaking like what the ban list is hitting, and you're constantly like just not keeping up with the power creep. And I feel like that's a lot of what happened within the past year with Snake Eyes and all that, and just not wanting to hit the shit directly. So overall, I'm very excited for what the format holds. I'm very bored of Rizal, so I'm really looking forward to playing different stuff. Even the Odeon deck just made top 8 at a regional, which is insane to me. But it's awesome to see that like it already has a top 8 at a regional under its belt, even though the guy explaining in the deck profile kind of made it seem like it was more of like a locals, almost like an OTS championship, but it was classified as a regional. Like he was worried about Kashtira, and I'm like, why the fuck are we worrying about Kashtira? But besides the point, Kashtira Fiendsman's kind of fallen off, but whatever. So it's great to see that, right? The point of me saying that is that we have the deck diversity. We just need to pull back some of these other lingering issues to where then like things are great, and to where even Alliance Insight can come in. It molds into the meta. You have more deck choices, but nothing is super oppressive. And I think that that is what will be good. Even though I think what has been classified as, quote, MORB format in the OCG, MORB, which is Malice, Orcus, Rizal, Blue Eyes. Those are like your 4 deck choices, and other things can do well here and there in their format. I think we need to have like MORB plus like maybe 3 or 4. And I'm sure a lot of competitive players are going to say, well, you don't want too many decks in the format because then it's hard to prepare for everything. True, but if you're playing one of the better decks in the room, you're probably beating those more roguish picks anyway, and then you're only going to be seeing 1 or 2 of the same decks at the top tables, you know, unless like a stun deck somehow squeezes in because they've been winning dice rolls all day, which that happens, right? That's just Yu-Gi-Oh! That's variance. So, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below about all this. I'm very excited for a list. I don't think it's going to be a big one if they drop it in April. If they're waiting until May or June, I think it's going to be a big list. But hopefully they hit the things that need to be hit. Hopefully it's not something that kills rogue decks. I think that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is in a very good position. Konami just needs to not fumble the ball. Also, I'm sure all the stuff that's semi-limited is going to go to 3. So, I mean, like, that stuff we could easily mark up there because ain't nobody playing Cyberjar in 2025. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.